The Galactic Consortium's first assessment of Earth came through a junior analyst's report, buried among thousands of similar documents about newly discovered civilizations. Industrial capacity, moderate. Technological sophistication, limited. Strategic value, minimal. The report might have gathered digital dust in the consortium's vast archives, if not for Administrator Verine's peculiar hobby of reading junior analysts' reports during her rest cycles. The towering Arctian lifted her crystalline data pad with appendages evolved for precision engineering, her 6 eyes focusing on details others might have missed. Earth's manufacturing output numbers seemed oddly disproportionate to their technological level, while other civilizations at similar development stages typically focused on specialized production of their most advanced technologies. Humans mass-produced everything from simple agricultural tools to basic spaceship components with equal enthusiasm. Curious, Verine muttered, her vocal crystals resonating softly in the empty analysis chamber. She flagged the report for further investigation, a decision that would eventually reshape the galaxy's power structure. The consortium dispatched observer teams disguised as trade delegates. They expected to find a primitive industrial society struggling with inefficient manufacturing processes. Instead, they discovered something that defied their understanding of technological progression. In a factory on the outskirts of Detroit, they watched as production lines smoothly transitioned from manufacturing civilian vehicles to agricultural equipment within hours. In Shanghai, an electronics facility shifted from producing entertainment systems to communication arrays with minimal retooling. A Brazilian aerospace plant demonstrated the ability to switch from civilian aircraft to potential military transport ships by simply updating their fabrication protocols. It's not just their production capacity, reported senior observer Cax, their carapace clicking nervously as they transmitted their findings. It's their entire approach to manufacturing. Every facility we've observed is designed for rapid reconfiguration. Every tool is multi-purpose. Every worker is cross-trained. It's as if their entire industrial base is designed for rapid military conversion. Verine finished, her crystalline structure dimming with concern. She had seen this pattern before, in historical records of civilizations that evolved under constant threat. But Earth's history showed no sign of unified external threats that would drive such development. The humans called it flexible manufacturing, and seemed to view it as nothing extraordinary. When questioned, their engineers spoke of efficiency and adaptability, as if these were obvious priorities. They didn't appear to realize they had created something unique in the galaxy, an industrial base that could transform from peaceful production to military manufacturing virtually overnight. The consortium's military analysts began running simulations. In a standard conflict scenario, most civilizations required years to convert their specialized industrial base to military production. The simulations suggested Earth could accomplish the same transition in weeks, possibly days. More disturbing still, their primitive modular approach to manufacturing meant they could maintain production even under significant military pressure. As Verine compiled her final report to the Consortium Council, she struggled to convey the implications. Earth wasn't just another industrial world. It was a sleeping giant. Every factory, every production line, every industrial center was effectively a dormant weapons facility. The entire planet was a weapon factory waiting to be activated. "We have made a significant error in our initial assessment," she wrote, her crystalline fingers trembling slightly. Earth's technological simplicity is not a sign of primitive development, but rather a deliberate choice that grants them unprecedented industrial flexibility. Their entire civilization is built around the capacity for rapid adaptation and mass production. She paused, considering the political implications of her next words. The consortium had encountered many strange and powerful civilizations, but none quite like this. Earth's potential military production capacity exceeded that of several major consortium members combined. Recommendation: immediate diplomatic outreach and integration into consortium economic frameworks. Earth must be made an ally before any other power recognizes what they have built. Their industrial doctrine must be studied and understood. Most critically, we must ensure that humanity never has reason to turn their remarkable industrial machine against the consortium. As she transmitted her report, Vereen gazed out at the glittering expanse of the consortium's capital world, its specialized production centers, and highly optimized industrial complexes stretching to the horizon. For the first time in her long career, she wondered if their pursuit of technological sophistication had led them to overlook something fundamental about the nature of true industrial power. The discovery came from an unlikely source, a maintenance depot in the Proxima Centauri trading hub. Consortium technician Xilax was attempting to repair a damaged human-manufactured mining drill when he noticed something peculiar about its construction. The primitive hydraulic systems could be easily modified to handle pressures far beyond their stated specifications. The power supply, marketed for industrial use, could be reconfigured to generate electromagnetic pulses. Even the drill's basic control computer contained dormant capabilities that seemed unnecessary for its stated purpose. Every piece of human technology tells the same story, Xilax reported to his superiors. Their devices aren't just built to last. They're built to evolve. The revelation sparked a galaxy-wide review of human exports. Consortium analysts discovered that seemingly simple human technologies were being used in ways their manufacturers had never officially intended. A human atmospheric processor designed for terraforming had been modified by frontier colonists to serve as a planetary defense system. Agricultural equipment was being converted into makeshift military vehicles. Even their children's construction toys demonstrated principles of modular design that military engineers found fascinating. On the consortium's central trading station, Director Mira Tell watched the growing collection of reports with mounting concern. Her species' crystalline neural networks were designed for pattern recognition, and she was seeing patterns that deeply disturbed her. They're not selling products, she realized. They're selling potential. A human manufacturing facility in orbit around Mars became the focus of intense scrutiny. Consortium observers watched as it produced a steady stream of civilian satellites. The production line was unremarkable, except for one detail. With minimal retooling, the entire facility could switch to producing military reconnaissance platforms or weapons platforms. The humans hadn't designed it this way out of malice or foresight. This level of flexibility was simply their standard approach to manufacturing. The implications went beyond military concerns. Human industrial methodology was beginning to influence consortium manufacturing. Several member species had already begun experimenting with what they called human pattern production systems. The results were startling. Decreased efficiency in specialized tasks, but drastically increased adaptability and resilience. Their influence spreads like a viral algorithm, warned security analyst Vexcore, their bioluminescent patterns flashing with anxiety. Every human product contains the seeds of military potential, and our industries are beginning to mirror their methods. In a secure chamber deep within the consortium's headquarters, the High Council convened an emergency session. The holographic displays showed the spread of human industrial influence across consortium space. It wasn't just their products. Their entire manufacturing philosophy was proving unexpectedly contagious. We assumed their industrial base was primitive because it lacked specialization. Council Elder Pexton observed, their quantum consciousness rippling with concern. We failed to recognize that this very lack of specialization is what makes it so formidable. Every human factory is potentially a weapons factory. Every human tool is potentially a weapon. Their entire civilization is built around the principle of rapid adaptation. The Council's military advisor, General Krovac, raised an alarming point. Our latest simulations suggest that in the event of a full-scale war, human manufacturing capacity could exceed our own within months. Their modular approach means they can lose multiple production centers and simply redistribute the load. Our highly optimized facilities, while more efficient, are also more vulnerable. A junior counselor, their holographic form flickering with nervousness, raised the question everyone had been avoiding. Could we stop them if we had to? The silence that followed was answer enough. The consortium's military superiority had always relied on its advanced technology and specialized production capabilities. But against an industrial base that could rapidly transform and adapt, that specialized infrastructure might prove to be a weakness rather than a strength. Perhaps, suggested Council Elder Pexton, we have been asking the wrong question. Instead of considering how to contain humanity's industrial potential, we should be asking ourselves how to ensure it never turns against us. As the Council debated, human trade ships continued their routes through consortium space, delivering their simple technologies to countless worlds. Each shipment carried with it the seeds of transformation, not through any deliberate plan, but simply because that was how humans built things. Every tool, every machine, every device was designed with the implicit assumption that it might need to be used for something else entirely. In her private chambers, Director Mira Tell added a final note to her analysis. The humans have given the galaxy something far more dangerous than weapons. They've given us ideas. The hive mind of Exarthal initiated the attack without warning. 3 consortium mining colonies vanished in atomic fire before anyone realized what was happening. The Exarthal, long considered a minor power on the galactic fringe, had somehow amassed a military fleet that rivaled the consortium's own. As panic spread through consortium space, humanity received its first formal request for military assistance. General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force stood before the holographic representation of the Consortium High Council, her expression neutral as she reviewed their desperate proposal. "You want us to supply weapons and military hardware to defend your outer colonies," she stated, not asked. The crystalline form of Council Elder Pexton flickered as they responded. "Your manufacturing capabilities are uniquely suited to rapid military production. We are willing to offer significant technological concessions in exchange for your assistance." Chen's slight smile didn't reach her eyes. "With respect, Elder, I don't think you understand what you're actually asking for. Activating Earth's full military production capacity isn't like flipping a switch. It's like opening a door that can't be easily closed." In the weeks that followed, the galaxy witnessed something that would reshape its understanding of industrial warfare. Every human manufacturing center, from the orbital shipyards of Mars to the smallest factory in rural Nebraska, began its transformation. Production lines that had been manufacturing consumer electronics smoothly transitioned to creating military-grade communication systems. Automotive plants began producing armored vehicles and mobile artillery platforms. Civilian shipyards switched to military vessels with practiced efficiency. The consortium's military observers watched in stunned fascination. One reported, "It's as if their entire civilization has been rehearsing for this moment without realizing it. Every factory, every worker, every production system knows exactly how to transform for war production. It's not just planned flexibility. It's institutional memory encoded into their very infrastructure." Within a month, the first wave of human military supplies reached the threatened consortium colonies. The Exarthal, expecting to face the consortium's sophisticated but inflexible response, found themselves against something entirely different. Human weapons were simpler than their consortium counterparts, but could be manufactured in overwhelming numbers. When they were damaged, they could be repaired with parts cannibalized from civilian equipment. When they were destroyed, 2 more took their place. Admiral Kex of the Exarthal fleet sent a priority message to their hive mind. "The humans don't manufacture weapons like the consortium does. They treat military production like an extension of civilian manufacturing. Every factory is a potential weapons plant. Every civilian facility is a dormant military asset. We cannot match their production capacity." But it was more than just production capacity. Human military technology, like their civilian goods, was designed for adaptability. When the Exarthal deployed energy shields that could block conventional weapons, human engineers simply modified mining lasers into shield-penetrating weapons. When Exarthal electronic warfare systems disrupted consortium communication networks, humans converted their robust civilian communication infrastructure into a military command network. In a secure briefing room on Earth, General Chen met with consortium military leaders. "What you're seeing isn't just our military capability," she explained. "It's our industrial doctrine made manifest. Every piece of technology we create, civilian or military, is designed with the assumption that it might need to be used for something else entirely. We don't build weapons factories. We build factories that can build anything, including weapons." The consortium leaders began to understand the full implications of what they were witnessing. Humanity hadn't developed sophisticated military technology because they had never needed to. Their true strength lay in their ability to transform their entire industrial base into a war machine at a moment's notice. "Your civilization," observed one consortium general, their bioluminescence pulsing with realization, "isn't just capable of making weapons. It is a weapon, a self-replicating, self-adapting industrial weapon that can transform itself to meet any threat." As the tide of the war turned, humanity's industrial might flowing into consortium space like a tide of steel and innovation. General Chen looked out at the stars from her command center. "We never wanted to be a weapons factory," she murmured. "We just wanted to be ready for anything. And now the galaxy understands why." The Exarthal Hivemond made its fatal mistake in the third month of the war. Rather than continuing their war of attrition against consortium colonies, they launched a desperate strike at Earth itself. Their logic was simple: destroy humanity's industrial base, and their production advantage would crumble. They didn't understand what they were truly attacking. The first wave of Exarthal ships encountered something unprecedented in galactic warfare. Earth's orbital defense network hadn't just been expanded, it had been fundamentally transformed. Civilian weather satellites now carried military-grade sensors. Communication relays doubled as weapon platforms. Even space debris had been collected and repurposed into defensive arrays. In Houston's Strategic Command Center, Dr. Maya Patel watched the battle unfold across holographic displays. As head of Earth's Emergency Industrial Conversion Program, she had overseen humanity's industrial transformation. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered, her voice steady despite the stakes. Across Earth and its colonies, manufacturing centers that had already converted to military production underwent another metamorphosis. Production lines that had been creating conventional weapons shifted to manufacturing countermeasures specifically designed for Exarthal technology. Factories began producing weapons that exploited weaknesses in Exarthal shields, identified mere hours earlier by adaptive AI analysis systems. The Exarthal encountered something they had never seen in millennia of warfare: an industrial base that could adapt to their tactics in real time. Every successful attack they launched was met with a countermeasure in the next wave of human production. Every technological advantage they deployed was analyzed, countered, and rendered obsolete within days. "Impossible," transmitted the Exarthal fleet commander as another wave of their ships encountered weapons that hadn't existed the day before. "They're not just manufacturing weapons, they're evolving them." In a secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, consortium military observers watched in awe as humanity's full industrial potential unveiled itself. "Their entire civilization is a self-improving weapons factory," one observer noted. "Every defeat makes them stronger. Every successful enemy tactic triggers an industrial evolution to counter it." The Exarthal's desperate gambit had achieved something unprecedented. It had pushed humanity's industrial base to its full potential. Factories operated around the clock, each iteration of weapons more effective than the last. Civilian research facilities seamlessly transitioned to military research and development. Even children's toy manufacturers were producing components for combat drones. Dr. Patel stood before an emergency session of the United Earth Council, presenting the latest production figures. "We're not just matching the Exarthal's technology anymore," she explained. "We're outpacing their ability to adapt. Every engagement provides data that feeds directly back into our production cycles. Our factories aren't just manufacturing, they're learning." The consortium's diplomatic corps watched with growing concern as humanity's industrial machine gathered momentum. What they were witnessing wasn't just military production, It was industrial evolution at a pace that defied their understanding. Earth's manufacturing base wasn't just a collection of factories. It was becoming a singular adaptive entity. In orbit above Mars, a Xarthal commander watched human ships emerge from converted civilian shipyards, each vessel incorporating countermeasures to tactics that had worked just hours before. They don't build weapons like we do. They transmit it to the hive mind. They don't build them to last. They build them to evolve. The turning point came not with a decisive battle, but with a revelation. The Xarthal hive mind, analyzing combat data, reached a chilling conclusion. They weren't fighting a war of attrition anymore. They were fighting a war of industrial evolution, and they were losing. Every hour the conflict continued. Humanity's production base grew more efficient, more adaptive, more dangerous. In the Strategic Command Center, Dr. Paddle received the Xarthal transmission requesting armistice talks. She turned to General Chen, who had been coordinating the military response. "They finally understand," Paddle said quietly. This wasn't a war between armies. It was a war between industrial philosophies, and ours just proved superior. As the Xarthal fleet withdrew, the consortium's analysts began compiling their reports. Humanity hadn't just demonstrated military prowess, they had revealed a fundamental truth about industrial power. In a galaxy of specialized production and optimized efficiency, they had created something far more formidable, an industrial base that could think, adapt, and evolve. 1 year after the Xarthal surrender, the galaxy's political landscape had transformed as dramatically as Earth's industries had during the war. The Galactic Consortium's Grand Assembly Hall hosted representatives from every major civilization, gathered to discuss what many were calling the human question. Administrator Vereen, now elevated to senior diplomatic coordinator, stood before the assembly. Her crystalline form had developed new facets, physical manifestations of the stress she'd endured during the conflict. "We face an unprecedented situation," she began. "Humanity's industrial doctrine has fundamentally changed our understanding of civilization-level power. The evidence was impossible to ignore. During the conflict, human manufacturing methodology had spread beyond Earth's borders, adopted by desperate consortium worlds fighting for survival. Planets that had embraced human-pattern industrial systems had proven remarkably resilient against Xarthal attacks. Those that maintained traditional specialized production had suffered devastating losses. In the Assembly Hall's diplomatic section, Dr. Maya Patel represented Earth alongside General Chen. They listened as species after species revealed how their civilizations were grappling with humanity's influence. Some had already begun restructuring their entire industrial base along human lines. Others resisted, arguing that specialized production was the cornerstone of advanced civilization. "You don't understand," Patel addressed the assembly. "Our approach to manufacturing wasn't a military strategy. It wasn't even a conscious choice. It's simply how we learned to survive our own history, by building systems that could adapt to any challenge." The Xarthal representative, a quantum-encrypted avatar of their hive mind, contributed an unexpected perspective. "We believe specialized production represented the peak of technological achievement. The humans proved that adaptability is a higher form of advancement than specialization. Physical examination of captured Xarthal technology had revealed the stark contrast. Their weapons were masterpieces of specialized engineering, each component perfectly optimized for its specific purpose. But when those components failed, the entire system failed. Human technology, with its modular design and adaptable components, could be repaired, modified, and improved even in the heat of battle. The galaxy faces a choice. General Chen addressed the assembly. Continue pursuing technological specialization, or embrace adaptability. Earth didn't become a weapons factory by choice. We simply built our civilization to be ready for anything. In the months that followed, a new galactic order emerged. The consortium transformed from a hierarchy based on technological sophistication to a network of civilizations valued for their adaptive capabilities. Earth, once dismissed as a primitive industrial world, became the center of a new philosophy of technological development. Trade routes shifted as worlds sought to acquire not just human products, but human manufacturing knowledge. The distinction between civilian and military production began to blur across the galaxy as more civilizations adopted humanity's approach of building adaptability into every aspect of their industry. In her private chambers, Administrator Vereen reviewed the latest reports with Dr. Patel. "Your civilization has changed us," she admitted, "not through conquest or technological superiority, but by showing us a different way of thinking about progress." Patel smiled. "We never set out to change the galaxy. We just built things the way we thought they should be built, ready for whatever comes next." The fact that this approach proved superior for military production was almost incidental. The Exarthal, humbled by their defeat, became unexpected advocates for human industrial doctrine. Their hive mind had analyzed the conflict extensively and reached a profound conclusion. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their production capacity or their adaptability. It was their assumption that everything could be repurposed, rebuilt, or reimagined. In Earth's orbital shipyards, now serving as educational centers for alien engineers, General Chen watched vessels of countless designs under construction. Some were civilian craft, others military, but all incorporated the human philosophy of adaptable design. "We're not teaching them how to build weapons," she observed to Patel. "We're teaching them how to build possibility." The final report to the Consortium Council marked the official end of the old order. "The galaxy has entered a new era," it stated. "Power is no longer measured in technological advancement or military might, but in industrial adaptability. Humanity didn't conquer us. They awakened us to a fundamental truth. The most powerful technology is not the most specialized, but the most adaptable." As night fell over the Consortium capital, lights flickered in countless factories retooled along human lines. The galaxy had learned that true strength lay not in building the perfect weapon, but in building systems that could become whatever they needed to be. Earth had revealed itself not just as a weapons factory, but as something far more profound, a factory of possibilities.